Good evening, everyone. It's Monday, April 21st. I'd like to call the Liquor Control Commission meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. I'd like to begin by taking a moment to remember Commander Jim Borchard of the Wheeling Police Department, who passed away unexpectedly last week. Commander Borchard provided 25 years of distinguished service to the department. His good cheer, inspiring energy, and total commitment to protecting the community made a lasting impression to everyone who met him. We'll always value his leadership, which was rooted in the generous support and guidance he gave his fellow officers, and the high standards to which he held himself. On behalf of the entire Wheeling community, I'd like to offer the village's condolences to Jim's family, friends, and colleagues on this terrible loss. We're going to recognize Jim with a moment of silence, but take a moment and reach out to each other and make sure everyone's okay during this time. So I'd like to have a moment of silence for Commander Borchard. Thank you.
Okay. Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vogel?
Here.
Commissioner Papantos?
Present.
Commissioner Vito?
Here.
Commissioner Lang?
Here.
Commissioner Kruger?
Present.
Commissioner Raffato?
Here.
Chairperson Horker?
Here. You have before you the minutes of the special meeting of March 3rd, 2025. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Raffato, second Commissioner Papantos. Roll call.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Raffato?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes. Citizens' concerns or comments?
Not today.
Okey-doke. Brings us to the business portion of the meeting. Clerk Brady.
6A, annual renewal of liquor license for 2025 to 2026.
Mr. Spondilis, you want to explain what we got?
Thank you. As the title indicates, this is our annual renewal for liquor licenses, which begin on May 1st of every year. Should the commission approve the licenses, it will bring the Village of Wheeling to a total of 72 businesses currently holding and or renewing liquor licenses, which is a net increase of 3 from last year. As you know, our gaming licenses are tied directly to our liquor licenses, and there are currently 29 video gaming establishments in Wheeling with a total of 163 video gaming terminals. That information I thought is always interesting as we look back on our revenues from our restaurants and gaming establishments. So we have quite a solid number of venues serving liquor, and this is their opportunity to receive a new license. If there are any establishments that are behind in their food and beverage payments, we will hold those licenses until all payments are received. Should you agree, I would ask that any motion be made conditionally upon 1, the submittal in good order of all application materials, 2, satisfactory background check results for all responsible parties, 3, the payment of any outstanding food and beverage taxes, and finally, 4, the compliance with all current or pending orders of the Liquor Control Commission. Clearly, I can't count because there's one more. And finally, and I mean it, payment of all applicable liquor license fees.
How many conditions?
There's 5.
Awesome. Questions or comments?
So moved with conditions.
Moved with conditions. Commissioner Kruger, second.
Second.
Commissioner Papantos, roll call, please.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Raffato?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes. Number B.
6B, consideration of a request for a Class I liquor license for the Village of Wheeling for an event to be held on June 28th, 2025.
Can we have a liquor license?
Well, no, I'm asking you if we could have a liquor license.
Awesome. What do we got, Mr. Spondos?
As the title indicates, this is a request from the Village of Wheeling for an event to be held at Chicago Executive Airport. We planned it this way to have them in the audience this evening. For June 28th, the annual Rock and Run the Runway event. There it is. This is our annual request to be able to serve adult beverages at that event. And I would ask that any motion to approve be made conditioned upon 2 items. First, submittal of a certificate of liquor liability insurance, and second, submittal of Bassett certificates for all applicable individuals, both of which I promise we will deliver.
Questions from the commission?
So moved with conditions.
Commissioner Kruger, second. Commissioner Papantos, roll call.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Rafano?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes. That concludes the Liquor Control Commission meeting for the evening. I'd like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Raffato, second.
Second.
Commissioner Papantos, all in favor? Aye. Liquor Control Commission is adjourned for the evening. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Village Board for April 21st.
Hold on, please.
Now I will talk a bit slower.
Come on, get out of here.
I have discovered the older I get and the grayer I get, and the more of these moments of silence I recognize how seldom or how often we take for granted the presence of people that we rely on and that we pass every day, and how suddenly they can just be gone. Maybe over the course of the next month or so, in a way of recognizing the loss of Commander Borchard, maybe just mention to the people around you that you appreciate their presence, because you never know. Sorry, that's a bit somber, but
Okay,
Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Present.
Trustee Papantos?
Present.
Trustee Vito?
Here.
Trustee Lang?
Here.
Trustee Kruger?
Present.
Trustee Raffato?
Here.
President Horker?
Here, you have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of March 17th, 2025. You missed it, ma'am. Regular meeting of the Village of Wheeling. Thank you. You have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of March 17th, 2025. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Trustee Papantos,
Second.
second. Trustee Kruger, roll call.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Raffato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, you also have before you the minutes of the meeting of April 7th, 2025. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Trustee Lang, second.
Second.
Trustee Raffato, roll call.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Raffato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes this evening.
Clerk Brady, proclamations, National Volunteer Week.
Yes, it is. Whereas the Village of Wheeling is proud of its volunteers who not only serve our community with pride and commitment, but also help to make sure that Wheeling is a great place to live, work, and raise a family. And whereas the entire community can inspire, equip, and mobilize people to take action that changes the world. And whereas volunteers can connect with local community service opportunities such as volunteer commissions, Wheeling Citizens on Patrol, the Wheeling Police United Foundation, Congregate Dining, Senior Center Programming, and many others. And whereas the individuals and communities are at the center of the social changes, discovering their power to make a difference. And whereas experience teaches us that government by itself cannot solve all of our nation's social problems. And whereas during this week, all over the nation, volunteers will be recognized for their commitment to serve. And whereas volunteers are vital to our future as a caring and productive community and nation. Patrick Horker, President of Village of Wheeling, does hereby proclaim April 20th through 26th as National Volunteer Week in Wheeling and urges fellow citizens to volunteer in their communities, since by volunteering and recognizing those who serve, we can come together to make a difference.
Thank you, Clerk Brady. Citizens' concerns and comments.
Yes, I have 3. Hold on. All right. Citizens' concerns and comments. Members of the public may address the board with comments regarding issues relevant to village business. No citizen shall speak for more than 5 minutes without consent of the board. Members of the general public who wish to address the board must sign the request to speak form prior to the commencement of the public meeting. And Pat Rizzo is the first.
Just as a reminder, this is a time for citizens to make their comments and express their concerns, and for the board to listen. Neither the board nor the staff will be answering questions. Ms. Rizzo?
Good evening. By the way, I am a volunteer. I'm on Citizen Patrol. So after this, I go to their meeting. My name is Pat Rizzo, and I live in the Avalon Sienna subdivision, which is near the Lake House Apartments. This subdivision is known as the nicest single-family and townhouse community in Wheeling. We do have the highest taxes as well to go along with it. A few months ago, the village put up signs in this neighborhood about the invasive plant, that would be the thornbuck, work being done. Massive amounts of trees and bush were ripped down. Logs were piled up on the parkways. I was out of town for 2 weeks, and when I returned, the signs were down and the logs were removed. Only problem is there's a ton of big logs, trees, massive roots were still laying there. There are also pools of water just sitting there. This is going to bring a mosquito problem near all the homes affected by this removal. Is the village coming back to clean up the massive mess? Now, these big open areas have become a haven for children to explore and play in. We have seen this already. These children can very well get hurt, and then the village could possibly get sued for their injuries. Who would end up footing the bill? The Wheeling taxpayers. Is this project finished? And if so, the village needs to come out and see all the areas that have been affected. One area is right next to the children's park that Wheeling just redid last year. I do have some photos for you to view, but to see if a person really will open up your eyes, I ask that the board come out and actually view these areas through a walk, not a drive-by. I thank all of you for your time and hope to hear back with some positive feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And I have...
Thank you.
Stephen Carl.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Carl, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of myself and a few other residents who've shared concerns with me about the recent developments involving our police department. I was present at the April 7th meeting when officers filled this room and issued a very clear and, quite frankly, aggressive message. They demanded leadership be removed and warned about hiring an outside chief would cause a downward spiral, harm morale, and lead officers to leave the department. To me, that was not professionalism. It was a power move. That kind of pressure, especially when framed as a threat, is completely inappropriate. Came across as an attempt to handpick someone they're comfortable with, someone more like a friend than a leader. But leadership isn't supposed to be about comfort. And with all due respect, choosing who leads the department is not a decision that belongs to the officers. The village stated that allegations against Chief Dunn were investigated and found to be baseless, yet he was placed on administrative leave just months before retirement. That doesn't sit well with me. It feels like a concession to internal pressure more than a decision that was made based on facts. And quite frankly, it's no way to send someone off who has dedicated years to this community. Now, let me be clear. I've lived in Wheeling my entire life. I've seen our police department active in community, supporting events, engaging with kids and families, and being visible, positive presence. That matters, and it deserves acknowledgement. But what I witnessed at that meeting wasn't about service, it was about control. And if the department believes only someone inside can lead, then that alone tells me that we need an outside perspective. Someone who can bring a clean slate, who isn't caught up in the internal politics, and who can restore stability and focus on what truly matters, servicing the Wheeling residents. I urge this board to make your decision based on qualifications, independence, and vision, not popularity or pressure. The strongest leader may not be may not be the most familiar face. And as of right now, we need strength from outside the department. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Tom Divot.
Good evening. I'm still here trying to get us to imagine the scope and the role of this board differently. But as I've learned, we need to start with a more local issue, more in the traditional purview of this board. So I've got one right in your wheelhouse, water and sewage billing. Back in December, you unanimously approved Ordinance 5712 to update pricing for 2025. Looks like a 6.5% increase in water and a 25-cent increase on sewage. I have to wonder if there's any conversation about trying to go about things differently, specifically like a more tiered pricing, considering your highest users of water, these car washes that are so plentiful now. Is it right that their last few thousand gallons of water are anywhere near what a family uses for drinking, bathing, doing laundry? Not to me, it doesn't. But I also imagine this doesn't feel very urgent right now while water is abundant. But there's going to be a time when water is scarce, and we could set the precedent now that we're going to do it differently here. Mexico City metro area had a months-long drought that impacted 26 million people. That was just last year. The Colorado River Basin is dangerously low. Again, it provides water for over 40 million people. So when that runs out, and some are saying 30 years or some are saying 5, but when that happens, what happens to water prices nationally? And then do we have a situation where families can't afford water here, but we're still using it for businesses and car washes? Let's be proactive about this and think about these things before they become urgent. I imagine we have until December to price the 2026 water, and I hope you'll commit to considering new things. As I've said before, this board is very good at status quo, but I also believe the sun is setting on business as usual, and it's time to start thinking about things differently. If we don't want to go big and national, why don't we try with something small like water billing and sewage? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's it.
Thank you to everyone who spoke. Staff reports, Mr. Kalp, what do we got?
Good evening, members of the board and President Horker. I just want to remind everybody that Thursday, April the 24th, that's this Thursday at 11 a.m. is when we're going to host our annual Arbor Day celebration. This year, the location will be at Walt Whitman Elementary School at 133 Willie Avenue, and we're planning on planting our annual tree at the southeast corner of the school property. We expect about 70 students, and we're happy to host any trustees or members of the public who would like to join us.
Thank you, sir. Clerk Brady, consent agenda.
Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussions of these items unless a board member or citizen so request, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items.
Hold on.
Point of order, I would like to request that item H be moved to new business because it's the third change order in this previously bid contract. And so it seems to me they've raised the price 3 times, that was not fair to the other competitive bidders that put in a good faith amount. You approved the low bid. It's now the third increase. That's a lot. That's a lot to explain. And I think that we should hold the vendors accountable to the amount that they said they could do the job for. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You got the right to make that.
Yeah, pull H and make it
13C.
13C.
Okay. All right. Consent agenda. 11A, resolution authorizing acceptance of the State of Illinois previously bid contract with Dell Technologies for a one-year renewal of Microsoft Office 365 software license in the amount of $86,256.60. 11B, waiving competitive bidding and authorizing the purchase of 3,800 feet of 5-inch supply fire hose from Danco Emergencies Equipment at the cost not to exceed $34,205.84. 11C, resolution authorizing a Memorial Day parade from Wyland Road and Illinois Route 83 McHenry Road, traveling southeast to Lexington Drive and terminating at Anvets Post 66. 11D, resolution waiving competitive bidding and authorizing a contract with Ray O'Haron Incorporated for the purchase of police duty weapons in the amount of $10,956, a price that reflects the trade-in value of surplus duty firearms. 11E, resolution approving a contract with GC Designs for the 2025 brick paver maintenance project in the amount of $74,145 in fiscal year 2025. 11F, resolution approving a one-year contract with Suburban Concrete, Inc. for the 2025 sidewalk replacement program in the amount of $96,460 for fiscal year 2025. 11G, resolution for improving under the Illinois Highway Code supplemental for section 23-00097-00RS. Okay, that's gone. 11I, ordinance declaring as surplus and authorizing the disposal of personal property owned by the Village of Wheeling by recycling, trade-in, donation, and public auction. 11J, resolution authorizing the village manager to waive a portion of the 2025-2026 video gaming terminal fees for Philip Carpenter Post 66 and Vet Building Corporation and not a not-for-profit entity. 11K, resolution amending Resolution 25-059, authorizing and consenting to a Cook County Class 6B real estate tax assessment classification renewal for the real property located at 230 West Palatine Road in the Village of Wheeling, Illinois.
Any other questions or comments relative to the consent agenda? If there are none, I would look for a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Trustee Vogel, second.
Second.
Trustee Rufato, roll call.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
Trustee Krueger,
Yes.
Trustee Rufato,
Yes.
Trustee Vogel,
Yes.
Trustee Papantos,
Yes.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes. New business.
13A, approving the fiscal year 2026 budget for Chicago Executive Airport.
Mr. Spondilis.
Good evening. As we do each year, we have the Chicago Executive Airport representatives come to the board and present their annual budget for approval. This is a process that is mirrored in Prospect Heights, and in fact did happen last week, where the proposed budget was approved by the City Council. So before you this evening is Executive Director Jeff Miller, who will present the 2025-26 Chicago Executive Airport budget.
Thank you, President Horker, board members, and our board as well for being here. And the members of the public, I'm Jeffrey Miller, your Executive Director. I'll let Jason Griffith talk in detail about the budget, but I wanted to once say thank you for the past year. As we look to the next year, we're the first airport in 2026 in the Chicagoland region to turn 100 years old. So that's a cornerstone. If you see in our budget, a lot of planning, preparation. We want to make a big event for it, a series of events throughout 2026. And also the planning, what we're hoping for is the Aviation Community Center, which would be a showpiece for both the Village of Wheeling and the City of Prospect Heights. So you'll see some of that in our budget as well. And I will be here after Mr. Griffith for questions if you may have them. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Director Miller, and thank you to the Village Board. With that, I will jump right in. The fiscal year 2026 budget goals provide the resources to be a premier general aviation airport, maintain financial self-sufficiency, maintain appropriate revenue growth across all airport revenue streams, manage operating expenses to ensure operational effectiveness, continue to utilize the airport's reserve funds to minimize the impact on the operating fund, and to increase the building and land reserve fund transfer to prepare for that new airport community center that Executive Director Miller mentioned, and with the intent to lessen or eliminate the need for debt service for that facility or that building. What is the Chicago Executive Airport budget? First off, the Chicago Executive Airport is an enterprise fund. An enterprise fund is a governmental fund used to account for operations that are financed and operated in a manner similar to private business enterprises, where the intent of the governing body is that the costs and expenses of providing goods and services to the public on a continuing basis be financed or recovered primarily through user charges. The Chicago Executive Airport budget is an annual estimate of that fiscal year's revenues, operating expenses, debt service expenses, reserve fund transfers, and capital expenses. The airport budget covers a May to April fiscal year. It is developed with keeping the future operating and significant capital needs of the airport in mind. It is also developed to ensure the airport always remains self-sufficient. The budget focuses on today while preparing for the future. With that, if you don't utilize the airport, you don't help fund the airport. Continuing on, after reserve fund transfers, the fiscal year budgeted net income is a loss of $701,000 from the airport's operating and self-funded capital projects. The budgeted FY revenues are about $8.8 million. It's a $1.3 million, 18% increase from last year's budget. The most significant driver of this potential revenue growth is an increase to Jet A fuel flowage fees. It is the airport's best way to receive income from transient aircraft, so aircraft that come from someplace else. There's also long-term lease increases. We've seen an increase in U.S. Customs Services and clearances and other fee increases. Operating expenses are a little under $6 million at 5.9, an increase of $432,000, a 7.88% from last year's budget. This change is due to the aforementioned planning for the 100 years celebrations, so public relations and marketing increases, engineering services increases, lease development increases, legal service increases. ARF is new this year for standby services. I would like to thank the Village of Wheeling Fire Department, who's teamed up with the airport. This is something that's requested from certain European operators to have the crash truck on standby for when they land. There will be a fee for that service that will be paid to the Village of Wheeling Fire Department, and with that, a fee to the operator. Insurance expense increases, U.S. Customs operational expense increases, increases to maintenance salaries, vehicle maintenance, and visual aids for cones and markers. The airport business plan requires that the airport keeps 25% of the approved budget's operating expenses on hand. That number for this budget that's being presented tonight is a little under 1.5 million. It's the 5.9 million in operating expenses times 25%. The estimated running balance on April 30th of 2025 of 4.6 million is sufficient to cover this requirement. The airport also has a debt covenant liquidity requirement for its loans. With that, it takes the same past operating expenses of 5.9 million, it multiplies it by 180 days and divides it by 365 days. That amount would be 2.9 million for the fiscal year 26 budget. Again, the estimating running balance on April 30th of 4.6 million is sufficient to cover this requirement. The airport has 4 board-approved reserve funds. The first is the sewer reserve fund. So any fee that we charge to an airport tenant for sewer goes directly into the sewer reserve fund. The projected starting balance of that fund at the beginning of the year is $692,000 with a projected ending balance of $675,000. The VERF fund, Vehicle and Equipment Reserve Fund, has a projected starting balance of $805,000 and an ending balance of $528,000. The most significant reason for a decrease in that fund is the potential purchase of a snow broom. So the brooms sweep the snow off the runway instead of plowing. Plowing sometimes compacts. Ice buildup is never good. So these are big, large brooms. The last one we purchased was about $750,000. So not a small piece of equipment either. The Building and Land Reserve Fund has a projected starting balance of $2.4 million and an ending balance of $3.4 million. The Capital Repair and Demolition Fund has a projected starting balance of $700,000 with an ending balance of $840,000. The transfer to this fund is 5% of all long-term lease revenues that are received, along with 5% of hangar 5 and 6 permit fees. Some of the self-funded capital projects that the airport is planning for is $110,000 in facilities, $15,000 in fencing and gate, security improvements of $115,000. This is a continuation of the security improvement program that we've been working on for the past few years, so this is a continuation of that, and pavement repairs of $350,000. Capital outlay of potential office equipment of $30,000, vehicle and equipment repairs of $36,000. This is separate from that VERF fund. The intent of that $36,000 is to say one of those large pieces of snow equipment goes down. We don't want to borrow from that VERF fund for the repairs. It's specifically for those repairs because they are quite costly when something, one of those goes down. Sometimes there's a crane involved to remove stuff around and get engines out. So that's what that $36,000 is intended for. Shop equipment of $88,573. Capital outlay other of almost $83,000. And then capital construction in preparation of that new aviation community center of $5 million. Capital A projects, this comes from the airport's TIPS plan. Airport staff goes down to Springfield every year to talk with the Illinois Department of Transportation, Division of Aeronautics, the FAA, and the FAA to talk about a 5-year outlook of all capital projects at the airport. The board passed the resolution, and we submitted in December, and we submitted it to the state in December as well. The projects are the continuation of the master drainage study, expansion of the East Quad Apron, the hotspot reconfiguration of taxiways, the Northeast Quadrant Apron and taxiway access. This is a relocation of the airport's current tie-down to the northeast section of the airport where the current T hangars in that quadrant currently are to have it more of a general aviation community. Total budgeted capital A project expenses of $12.6 million with the airport's local share of $560,000. And again, this is derived from the TIPS plan that the program that the board has passed. You will notice that RSIP is not in the capital A projects this year. And the reason for that is after talking with the auditors, RSIP is a unique program. It's not a traditional grant project in their eyes because ultimately the airport is not receiving the windows, doors, insulation the residents are. So there's no good way to amortize that over time. And it's not really an operating line because the airport can operate without RSIP. So with that, we have it listed as its own standalone program this year. With that, the RSIP has $2.25 million in grant revenues, $2.5 million in total expenses, but the airport's ultimate local share, because the state of Illinois has decided to participate at 5%, is $125,000 for this budget. And that, we will open up to questions.
Trustee Papantos?
Thank you. Going back to the ARF program, you mentioned that it's only for certain European flights. Is it all European or?
It's for anybody that requests it, but a lot of times we get calls from people coming from Europe because it's part of their insurance requirements.
So do we have an estimate of how many flights per year that'll be?
We are not sure of this time.
Yeah, we have received requests, and I would offer, it's meant for anybody that would request it. We don't know, it's kind of chicken before the egg. We work closely with the fire chief to see if we offer this service, if people would want to use it. So it's live now. We haven't done one yet, but we're trying to figure that out. I mean, we get, before that, roughly 4 to 5 calls a month from operators asking to be on standby, but it's hard to say now that it's in place. I think we put 30,000 in our
25.
budget. Yeah.
I just looked.
We can't, I mean, I hate to say shot in the dark, but that's kind of when Jason and I were talking about it, we figured that was an appropriate number depending on what we saw from operators calling in. And once again, now that we have a fee structure in place, would they take advantage of it or not? That's a good
And
question.
I think I heard that this will be paid by, so
So we've structured
the
it.
airport's going to be an intermediary.
Correct. We've
theoretically.
structured it in such a way that the airport will pay the Village of Wheeling immediately, and we're working with the operators. The way we've structured it is they'll pay us immediately too, but the Village of Wheeling has nothing to do with the end operator. We'll take care of all that. So you'll see our budget line because we'll be paying the Village of Wheeling directly, so you don't have
But
to
this
get-
is not a loss or a gain
No.
for the airport either.
Correct, yeah. I just wanted to make it clear that there's no extra work on Wheeling's part to have to go try and drag down operators to get money. The airport's handling that. We will request it up front, but all of our funding to Wheeling would come directly from our accounts.
And do we know what the fees will be, Chief Salea? Sorry,
Yes, we agreed on terms and
your
everything.
mic.
Yes, we agreed on the terms of the standby, and we have a rate that we agreed upon. I can provide you with
No, I
that
was just curious.
information.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I have.
Any other questions? Trustees? Quiet, silence, crickets? I see by 2030, we're going to be kind of debt-free.
That is correct, sir.
Nice planning.
Thank you.
And congratulations on the 100 years.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope everybody will be actively involved. We're planning some really cool stuff, and we're working with some operators up in Air Venture to get hopefully some cool airplanes down here and stuff. So, thank you.
If there are no other questions or comments, I would be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion trustee Vogel, second trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Number B.
13B, resolution authorizing and consenting to a Cook County Class 6B real estate tax assessment classification under the Sustainability Energy Emergency Relief SER program for the real property located at 777 South Wheeling Road in the Village of Wheeling.
Mr. Becker, we've never done one of these before.
President Horker, trustees, that is correct. The 6B SER program is modeled exactly like the 6B. There are some definitions that need to be met per the county, As Clerk Brady mentioned, this is a sustainability emergency relief program, which has a few key caveats and criteria. The request is being made by Reynolds Consumer Products, which has a large facility in Wheeling, has owned the property since 2010, has never received a tax incentive at all, is one of the largest employers in Wheeling with 316 full-time employees, with the opportunity, given the fact that the actual physical facility is well over 40 years old, has transferred numerous ownership statuses during that time. There is some obsolescence and a lot of maintenance that needs to be done on the facility. Reynolds is deciding where they are going to invest in their consumer products line, which is the aluminum foil pans, et cetera, as manufactured in Wheeling as well as Louisville, Kentucky. In-depth analysis indicated that if Reynolds were to relocate all future investment and production lines to Louisville, there would be almost a $51 million savings over that 12-year period. They do like Wheeling. They like to be partners in the community. They are a key employer. They have a huge economic impact. It's all articulated in the memo. But at the end of the day, as the SCR program mandates, the company to qualify must be in place for 10 years or more in a facility, evidence of an economic hardship to justify the relief, and that they're not receiving any other property tax incentives. The applicant, Shannon O'Hare, and representatives of Reynolds are here. The 6B SCR will enable Reynolds to not only stay in the community, but invest $10 million over the next 4 years, $2.5 million a year, get a $2 million certification, which will allow Reynolds to export products from Wheeling to the UK and the EU. So that $2 million is basically an FDA type of certification that is required by the UK, and the potential for another $6 million investment in an additional product line in Wheeling. So this is a great opportunity not only to retain Reynolds in Wheeling, but also retain jobs in the state of Illinois and set economic impacts here. So with that, the applicant, Shannon O'Hare, and the team from Reynolds are here if there are any questions for myself or the applicant.
Nothing to my left. Nothing to my right. I think it would be Trustee Vogel.
With the situation with the unknown tariff increases, they're still planning on going forward?
Shannon, do you want to respond to that?
Please come to the
Stand
podium or I get in trouble later.
Hi, Shannon O'Hare. Thanks for having us this evening. Yes, the planned investment will continue to go forward even with tariffs because, you know, they're making these products here, right, in the U.S., and a lot of them remain here in the U.S.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
Anyone else?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Trustee Lang, second.
Second.
Trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, congratulations, thanks for staying.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
So now we're going,
Formerly 11H, currently B3. Want to read it?
okay. Is it 13C?
13C.
13C, approving change order number 3 in the amount of $71,329.63 to increase the contract with Hampton, Lenzini, and Renwick, Inc. for $326,220 to $397,549.63 for the Buffalo Creek Stabilization Design Program.
Want to explain it, Mr. Spandelis?
Thank you. I'm happy to give an overview, and if the board has any additional questions, I'm sure Director Kaup can fill in the blanks. As you know, the village is engaged in Phase 2 of the Buffalo Creek Stabilization Project, which is a significant project paid for through grants and TIF money, where we design and recreate the stream banks of the Buffalo Creek, which not only protects the land along the creek, but the creek itself. The Buffalo Creek, as you know, runs right outside the window there, running east-west. This is an ongoing project, as you see in the memo. It tells us that the contract was first approved in 2022 for the initial design phase. The first change order was a change in design fees for additional right-of-way, which was necessary as we went through all of the properties listed, because in order to move forward, you need to have sign-off from the property owners. The second change order was related to a grant application. As I said, this is paid for through grants. Any additional monies from the village's portion of the project is paid through TIF. So that was the application fee that we added to the contract. And finally, this evening's change is because one individual owns 4 properties along the creek, and he does not want to participate in the free project that is significant to helping reestablish the property. So because of that change, the village has to pay to redesign the project around those 4 parcels that are not going to participate. Director Kaup, did I miss anything?
You didn't. I would just like to add that the first change order was when the initial contract with HLR was signed, they engaged in the design engineering for the project. And during that design, it was noted that the additional easements needed to be recorded at a reasonable cost, and that was the first change order. The $4,500 second change order was for an MWRD grant that we're still waiting to hear back from. That was a fairly de minimis cost, but because we'd already had one change order, that was the reason for, even though it was a small dollar amount, we had to bring it back to you. But I'm happy to answer any questions about the project or where we are right now with.
Trustee Vogel, you have a question?
And that cost you just explained would have been there no matter who won the bidding process. The $4,500.
Correct, yeah, and we haven't even gotten to the bidding process. The design was performed through our CUBE qualifications-based selection for professional engineering services.
Okay. Just so that's clear.
Oh, yes.
Any other questions? If everybody's satisfied, I'd be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Vogel, second, Trustee Rufato. Roll call.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Official communications. Clerk Brady, anything?
No, I have nothing today.
Trustee Papantos, I saw you had something.
Yes. I just want to give a shout out to Finance Director Smith and the whole finance team for receiving the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the 39th year in a row for the Village of Wheeling and our budgets. I think airport staff can attest to the fact that doing a budget is a big deal. It's a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot to present a budget that's accurate and that reflects, our expenses and our revenues as well as you all do, and, continuously. 39 years in a row is a long time, so thank you.
Thank you for that, Trustee Papantos. I'd just like to give a shout out to Kelly Smith, who helps put together the budget the last 2 years since Angela Peter was retired. She's been doing a fabulous job, and she just became accountant at the village. So congratulations to Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other official communications. We still have a little bit of business. The approval of the bills for April 3rd through April 16th, 2025. If there are no questions or comments, I need a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Vogel makes the motions, trustee Kruger seconds. Roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel? President Horker?
Yes, we do have an executive session this evening for the purposes of pending probable and/or imminent litigation. That being the case, I need a motion to recess into executive session and adjourn from the regular meeting. There will be no business discussed after this session. Trustee Rufato makes the motion.
Second.
Trustee Kruger, roll call.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, we'll be reconvening in the executive session room in about 5 minutes. Thank you all for coming.